Good evening. I hereby call the 12 September Des Moines City Council Environment Committee meeting to order. I would note that Councilmember Grace Matsui will not be joining us. We will endeavor to remain calm and carry on with Councilmember Oxiger. Our first item of business is approval of the minutes. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Okay, the minutes are approved, and with that, I will turn it over to staff, and we're going to be talking about Poverty Bay Shellfish District.
That's correct. Thank you, Chair. Tyler Beakley, Surface Water Manager, Public Works. First agenda item, as you stated, is the Poverty Bay Shellfish Protection District, and this is our annual update that we share with the Environment Committee just on the ongoings and proceedings as we work through time to improve shellfish harvesting. So a bit of background for those listening and for the committee members is this all started 2015, 2016 when we got news of some high samples that were taken off the coast of Poverty Bay indicating high levels of bacteria. This triggered a state law for the county to form a shellfish protection district. Shellfish Protection District essentially is mandated through Washington Department of Health. They oversee it, and it lays out a plan to bring the shellfish harvesting back into compliance. Now, as a result of the downgrade, they made harvesting shellfish conditional outside the limits of Poverty Bay, and this is just off the shores of Redondo Beach, for geoducks specifically. Those are harvested by the tribes and by the state. They made it so they could harvest them during the dry months, but they were prohibited to harvest in the wetter, rainier months. And that comes down to the state's reasoning for where they think the pollution was coming from, which they stated were non-point pollution sources, meaning a collection of matter that has various sources that make its way to the sound through our local creeks. The district forms all the way from Massey Creek all the way down through Cold Creek and up into the north reaches of Federal Way. So that's the background of how the origins of this effort started. It has a ton of members ranging from Kent, Des Moines, Federal Way, the local jurisdictions. We also have Midway Sewer, Lake Haven Sewer and Water. We have the Puyallup tribes. We have various of King County departments involved in the committee, and then we have state agencies such as Parks, Department of Health, Ecology, DNR, all that are on this committee. So a wide range of interested parties. So getting into our latest update, we convened as our annual meeting in April. And from there, I have a few updates to share about our current status. So Washington State Department of Health, they oversee, like I said, all the shellfish harvesting beds in the area. They gave an update about the status and the latest results on monitoring. Let's see here, I'll just go bullet by bullet here. So the status of the growing areas outside of Redondo, essentially they've reached maturity, the harvesting beds, meaning they've harvested what they could, the tribes in the state, and now the beds are resting. This resting period is, I've heard ranges of 20 plus years to get the geoduck population back to a level that is sustainable for harvesting. One point to this is it's great, not great, but it's the timing is well supported with this downgrade because no harvesting can happen when these beds are resting. So we have 20 plus years to get back on track and open up these beds to full open conditions. That's the end goal, and to end this district before harvesting happens again. So just a corollary I wanted to point out there. Yeah, go ahead.
Does this only pertain to geoduck?
This is only for geoduck harvesting on these shellfish beds.
Okay,
That's correct.
So people can come down, and I believe they're called horse clams and stuff.
That's under different harvesting regulations, and it's going to depend on beach by beach. So I'm not as up to date on that status, but yeah, the focus on these are offshore where they go down with
Right.
scuba deep and harvest the gooey ducks.
Thank you.
Just catching up to where I left off. So all stations are continuing to meet the water quality standards. So we've been in compliance now from the original downgrade, when sort of metrics went above the state standards. We've been below those standards for 2 or 3 years now, and we continue to with their latest updates. This is great news. It means we're doing our job. We brought the monitoring stations off the sound back into compliance. The state, and that's our final point here, is they're still recommending the formal district status until we can clean up fecal levels in the streams. And they've continued to work with the county and work with the state to sample the streams until we can get those fecal levels down below a certain threshold that the state deems appropriate. Moving on, there's been a few updates with Lake Haven Water and Sewer District related to Poverty Bay District and beyond. So in 2022, Washington State Department of Health learned that the Redondo treatment plant was not fully treating and disinfecting its effluent, and that resulted in closing, making a prohibited harvesting area just outside where their outfall is. They ended up getting fined $40,000 and have a slew of requirements to get their treatment plant back into code. That's kind of separate from the district. They have their own compliance efforts they need to go through with the Washington State Department of Health. And then in 2023, the Lakota treatment plant in Federal Way, same thing. They had an inspection by Washington State Department of Health, discovered their plant isn't containing flows during certain events, and they're reclassifying a portion off the coast of Federal Way to also prohibited. That downgrade was slated to happen in August, but I did not see it on their website, but I think that is still pending, and that's kind of the most recent update they gave. With that, I'll switch over to the sort of efforts the committee is doing that King County presented. So over the past 12 months, and this is back in April when they presented, we have National Estuary Program dollars awarded to the committee to fund efforts to reduce point sources of fecal coliform in the district boundaries. So some of the highlighted efforts that you may or may not be aware of is rebate programs for septic inspection repair, also side sewer repair that are available to anyone that is within the Poverty Bay Shellfish Protection District. And those efforts are headed up by the county and advertised online, advertised over social media as well, and through other community engagement events. We're also doing a bunch of workshops and ways to engage the community, whether on social media, partnering with Poo-Getters to reduce pet waste around the area and in local parks, doing coastal cleanups, social media campaigns such as the Halloween event in 2023, and a variety of other actions that the county is leading and the jurisdictions and other parties are supporting. So with that, between 2020 and 2023, 160 septic maintenance rebates were distributed to households within the district. And then last note here is we've had success in finding some actual point sources of fecal coliform pollution within the city limits. So one of those is down in the Woodmont area. We found a home that had a failing side septic sewer that was leaching into the storm system and going down Woodmont Creek. We're actively working with that homeowner to get that repaired now. And then another recent one that we just found was off of Massey Creek, and there was a failed septic system and some horse fecal related pollution that we had to clean up that was leaching into the creek. So success is it's really hard to find those point sources sometimes because you get a hot sample in the creek and you got to track it upstream and figure out where it is. So I'm happy to report two successful things we're able to help eliminate there for point sources. That concludes, well, just quickly looking at the next sheet of the data, this further reinforces what I was explaining, how the monitoring stations off the coast of Poverty Bay are all in good compliance. So the two key columns to look at are the geomean. You want to see all those numbers below 14, and these are representing fecal coliform per a percentage of water. And then the 90th percentile, all those numbers you want to see below 43. And you can see we're well below them in each column, indicating we got a healthy Poverty Bay out there. And then lastly, we have the maps showing the downgraded areas. But that will conclude my remarks. Thank you.
Councilmember Oxer.
Yes, so how small a stream are you looking at?
Yeah, so
Because we have Colebrook, between Colebrook and say, Redondo Creek. There are a number of streams that come in, through the seawall. Are you testing those also?
not currently, but we have. We've highlighted those as essentially not streams, but near shore Puget Sound runoff. And we did a survey of every outfall within the district boundary that directly outfalls between the creeks, and they've done spot sampling off of those, and I don't recall them getting any hits. But we have looked at those in the past. Of this, we're almost going on 10 plus years now of the district. So we have looked at that in that range.
Anything else at the moment? Well, we'll keep, just for people who will look at these maps, nobody enjoys colorful presentations more than myself, but the red, red is sort of a danger color, to most people, but in this case, it's simply saying that the harvesting is being prohibited. It's not an indicator of trouble. It's right at this moment.
At this moment, that's correct.
Okay.
The Washington State Department of Health is being cautious.
Yeah.
But all the monitoring stations are in compliance. It simply means prohibited for tribal and state.
Yeah. I'm just.
Yep.
And if you weren't actually, reading the narrative, it would have this yeah, it would be alarming. Perhaps. Okay, but let's see. 160 septic rebates is about 155 more than I would have expected. So well done to whoever is, because I got a list. It's like there's like 850 homes still on septic in the city, and I'm pleasantly surprised about that. When chasing down the two homes, sorry, this is just me, is there a way to estimate how many hours the staff spends working on something like that, just anecdotally?
Mm-hmm.
Because we don't get compensated for that, right?
No, those efforts are part of our NPDES permit pollution prevention program.
Sure.
So we already have staff who have dedicated time to find sources of pollution and eliminate them.
Yeah, and that's.
So it's part of their hours.
Yeah.
I would say with these two cases, King County led the effort to find them using these grant dollars.
Mhm.
Once they find them, they turn them over to city staff to lead the enforcement and the remediation, or essentially to fix it, so it's
Okay.
no longer polluting. In these two cases,
I'm just.
I know.
I'm just thinking in terms of the tedious
Right.
factor.
There's a lot of work in it, but within the NPDES, the stormwater costs and
Yeah.
the stormwater rate, NPDES costs are built into that.
Okay,
So the staff that is required to enforce NPDES permitting, sewer chase, all those things are built into those rates. And so if those costs continue to go up, they will eventually have an impact on stormwater rates. But right now, they're built in and we're able to cover the level of effort we have.
yeah, no, it's more, thank you
and
for
I was
that.
gonna say
Yeah.
10 to 20 hours, start to finish, start to close out, but it's
Okay.
gonna range.
Yeah,
really on the complexity of each issue.
Yeah,
So it's
no,
really hard to give you an hour.
I'm just trying to,
Yeah.
you know, like, in terms of actually moving the needle, it sounds like, you know, your metrics are good, but just in terms of, you know, making improvements, there's a certain amount of effort involved in, yeah, it's not like you can do this global thing. It sounds like you have to, you know, find these individual things and then attack them, and sounds like, you know.
And we get, and there's
Doesn't
been improvements in sampling also, because we used to test just for fecal coliform, which is like a 3-day test, right?
Yeah,
But now, I mean, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but it's become pretty much a state standard. I don't know about Des Moines yet, but we now test with a stick
mhm,
for caffeine. If you
Yeah.
get a caffeine hit, you're gonna think that, hey, probably there's a sanitary sewer connection, right? And so then you could track up for that, because people eliminate caffeine when they go to the bathroom.
right,
And caffeine's a very easy thing to test for. And it won't give you the strength, but it'll tell you we have an issue.
yeah.
And so then you could use that as the indicator to track up, so that 20 years ago, it took much longer to track these down than the techniques we've learned since then.
Okay, and I just hear from the public, they ask about the efficacy of this district. You know, has it actually moved the needle in terms of, because their metric is it prohibited? And they see the red thing, and so
No,
I guess that's what I'm driving at, is I'm just trying to give people some
It's-
sense that
it's-
things are getting better.
They are getting better. It's prohibited because of harvesting. The beds are getting upgraded because of harvesting, so that they can grow back and be reharvested.
And the cooperation amongst the 42 participants, I just exaggerated, yeah, but it seems like that.
There's a lot.
Yeah, you know, everybody's, there isn't any scuffling back and forth over finger pointing, that sort of thing.
Initially, there may have been, but it's, yeah, we're all working harmoniously.
The
Yeah.
culture, not only in this district, but in many districts around Puget Sound, because I was involved with many of them around Puget Sound. The culture around Puget Sound and saving the Puget Sound across multiple municipalities, multiple agencies, multiple tribes, has really matured in the last 20, 30 years.
Yeah,
And you just see, you know, whether it's activist agencies like Save the Kings or Puget Sound Keeper or Citizens for a Healthy Bay or just individual citizens. And so, and then you see, even at the federal level, the estuary monies and all the things that, you know, the congressmen fight for and the congresswomen fight for. All of those things are coming together, and we're actually seeing a really good move
thanks.
on the needle in Puget Sound.
I appreciate that, because I mean, I hate to, but, you know, we do have, you know, many special purpose districts and interests, and people have very different incentives sometimes. So, you know, thank you for indulging me on that. Please.
Okay, just to be clear, periodically, and I admit that I have not looked recently, but, because when you see signs after a while, you tend to just ignore them, but there were signs at one point posted along the Redondo waterfront regarding any kind of shellfish taking. We're only talking here about the gooey ducks, right, being prohibited.
Yeah.
So,
And those signs were related to treatment plant or sewer line overflows that
Okay.
happened with a winter event.
right, so those are gone now,
Correct. Those
Okay.
are required through their permits.
okay,
So they could come back if you have a bad storm event and they have another
Right,
release.
right. Like I say,
Yeah. They come and go.
Yeah. Unrelated to this, though.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay,
But just, I mean, you know, you go to Saltwater State Park today, and, you know, and there will be more than one sign that says, you know, basically anything having to do with shellfish. So just anything that somehow can atomize, like, you know, where the problems are, or the public thinks of it all as one big waterfront and shoreline, and so I just, yeah, you know, anything that and because there are so many stakeholders, it creates this, skepticism, I guess, so that's the only reason I'm sort of
Yeah, well,
going on here.
Puget Sound touches everybody, and touches everyone in this region, and it takes, anytime you do anything for the water quality in this region, it's gonna take, dozens of agencies to partner with, and it takes time, it takes effort, it takes relationships, and it takes dedication to the work, and that's, agencies like this, or districts like this, that's what they create.
Well, anything, I think, I speak for my colleagues, anything we can do to, because, like with McSorley Creek and so on, you can, over time, you see how far east affect, basically everything affects everything.
Absolutely.
And so
Oh,
anything we can do to support, regardless of how far east it is, away from the shoreline, please let us know.
Absolutely.
And I think anything else?
I don't know if this is germane to the discussion, but there was a period where there were commercial groups coming down and taking water at the Redondo boat launch. Is that still prohibited? And what's the status with that?
I'm familiar with that occurrence, and I wanna say they were taking sound water out and bringing it to maybe a warehouse that was distributing seafood or an aquarium, or that was their business. I haven't seen them in some time, and I don't honestly know if any enforcement was occurred on that. I think if enforcement were to happen, it would be use of the boat ramp for their use. But I just wasn't included in that discussion.
But I mean, is that something that they need a permit for, or is it, they're,
Technically, it would be considered waters of the state,
okay,
and if there's, I don't have the statutes in front of me, but it's like even rainwater, you're not allowed to resell, right? And so,
If I may, if they're pulling the water off the Redondo boat ramp, the council did pass an ordinance back in 2018, essentially saying nothing can be done other than launching or retrieving boats without a permit from the harbor master. And I think if any of that activity is going on, the harbor master was requiring that they do it from the marina area and not out of Redondo. So it should not be going on right now.
I've seen it, I think, at least twice this summer, so.
okay.
Yeah, we will pass that along to the appropriate people.
Thanks, Matt.
Thank you.
How would people, well, yeah, that begs the question, how would people report that? I mean, is there,
Through the Fix-It form,
okay,
and then that gets it into the city system, and we would route it to the harbor master.
okay.
Yeah.
I guess you'd want to have like just the boat ID or something to that
The company
effect.
name, if
It's not a boat, it's a big tanker.
Yeah.
Truck, so,
Like a Vector?
yeah, back down, through your,
yeah, it's an odd situation, but if we get a report, we definitely can follow up on it, but yeah.
I learn something every day. Thank you. No, that just seems so, like, okay.
Permit from the state, because you're not supposed to be doing it.
No. I mean, I'm not a fan. I'm just like,
we used to have the Christmas tree time
Okay.
too.
All right. Okay, so, time is short and so on. Anything else, Councilman? Okay, so moving on to the next item of business, which seems to be the SWIM CIP budget, which is much anticipated, 25 to 2030.
Great, thank you, Chair. So, this item, we refer to as our 6-year CIP plan. This is a forward-looking list of projects we have slated over the next 6 years and help us staff program, know where to send resources, and also know which projects are upcoming to seek grants or other revenues of sources. Tommy kicked off the transportation meeting this way, and I'll do the same, but it has been many years since this was updated at the committee level, just due to happenstance of cancellations and COVID and other means. So just wanted to let the committee know that of why we haven't seen it in years past. So to start out, we have the cover page kind of giving a highlight snap view of all the projects going out the 6 years and which projects are sort of the total dollars expect to be spent in that year. Rather than going down that list, I'm going to be following the further attachments starting on page 11 of 31 with the Barnes Creek KDM Culvert project. I'm going to work down pretty quickly through the CIPs. A lot of these the committee has been updated on through our routine CIP updates, but please stop me as I'm moving quickly through if you want to stop on a project. So starting off, this is one project that we are closing down off the list as it's nearly completed and will be in 2024. We're just waiting for final striping on the Kent Des Moines Road, roughly between 10th and 16th, as we put in the new culvert on Barnes Creek. So that one is nearly complete, and we're removing from the 6-year CIP list.
I'm sorry, where are you at?
Yeah, so this was our first project sheet.
Page 11, sir.
Yeah,
This one here?
Barnes Creek KDM
Barnes Creek,
Culvert.
yeah, sorry.
Yep. So
Sorry.
Yep. And again, I'm going. There's a few of these, so please stop me if you have a question. So. The next project is our 24th pipeline replacement project. This is the 24th project that has just referred to. That's outside of Pacific Middle School, and there's swim dollars associated with it. So we track it in our CIP as well. But this is transportation-led project, and their committee receives a better update about project status and current suspension utility issues on it.
I missed that. I'm sure it was riveting and
Yeah.
this was answered. Are the margins going to remain cut open, through next year?
So, council member, we gave a briefing in just a previous committee on this, but I can highlight it for you.
But you covered it?
Yeah,
I
so,
will watch it.
okay.
Okay, next project is the Deep Teen Platte Outfall Replacement Project, which we've been talking about for some time. The design is complete on that, completed in 2024. We still are anticipating and plan to go into construction next year to close this project out.
Yeah, but really? I'm sorry.
But really, I'm with you. I'm tracking. Funded through the swim utility. North Fork McSorley Creek project. This is just on here for financial. There's a small expenditure at closeout in 2024, but this has been wrapped up for more than a year now. So closed out from the list, and we will not see that next time. Des Moines Memorial Drive and 208th and 212th. This is the project that is on consent tonight to approve the construction contract to start construction now with a contractor and a bid we received that was below engineer's estimate. So we're excited for a project to go into construction, and this is on Des Moines Memorial Drive between 208th and 212th. We're putting in a new pipe section and replacing a lane of pavement where the pipe will go.
My only question is, why is this under budget? And is there any magic you can sprinkle on everything else? I mean, I'm only half kidding. I mean, is there some reason it turned out that?
So the bid
yeah.
was, I asked the same question, council member, just to make sure that the contractor didn't submit. The other bids were very close to each other, but this contractor apparently has its own traffic control, and that's where its market share for the bid to be lower was.
Okay, great. I'm sorry, I'm always just like.
Yeah. No, it stuck out. It was a couple $100,000 less than their competitors, and so they were the low bid.
Yeah, well, okay, moving on, I'm sorry.
Yep, no. KDM 16th, segment A pipe replacement project. This one is currently in construction and nearly wrapped up. I'd say 85% of the way through. We have some final pavement restoration to do on KDM, and then some essentially restoration as we fix the ground where we put in new pipe outfall to Massey Creek off of KDM and 16th. So overall, a very good project, smooth through construction. I'm happy to report, no big issues. 200th Street drainage improvements. This one is also tied to a transportation CIP, and this is 200 just west of Des Moines Memorial Drive. This is a Safe Routes to School project, putting in sidewalk improvements, and there's drainage-related improvements to be made on that project. So surface water is a funding source on that project. That is in design currently and slated to be constructed next year. Service Center material storage improvement project. This one is getting our service center maintenance yard up to compliance with sort of our pollution prevention standards that we have adopted through King County. So it's bringing our own site up to what we expect other businesses to be in compliance with. So this is covering our material bins, and this is making sure that we're not having any potential sources of pollution coming from that yard. It's slated for 2027, but this is kind of a moving project as staff juggles resources and staffing and finances.
And this has nothing to do with like the wells and
No, this
No,
is a separate
no.
project.
This is surface water runoff.
Yep. 5th and 212th Street project. This one is up in North Hill. This is slated for design in 2026, construction 2027, and adds essentially, like most stormwater projects, there's capacity issue, there's aging infrastructure issue, there's pipe that's not where it should be, and we're kind of repairing a few different sections up in the North Hill corridor as it drains down to Des Moines Creek. 216th Place in Marine View Drive. This is the projects that's tied into the consent agenda tonight as well. It's kind of the two projects in one. This one's on the south end of Des Moines Memorial Drive, close to the intersection there of the flag triangle. Again, on the consent calendar tonight under the same contract. Des Moines Creek Estuary Restoration Project. This one is also a kind of a moving target project where it's dependent on grant resources as they come in, completely independent of the surface water utility. We're looking for external grant revenue on this one, and there's a lot of funding sources out there when it comes to salmon recovery. So this is improving the mouth of Des Moines Creek. We have a consultant working with $500,000 in current grant monies to design conceptual modifications to what this estuary could look like as it relates to the beach park, as it relates to the pedestrian bridge, as it relates to the marina and the seawall there. So we'll be seeing a presentation to council in the near future, probably by the end of the year, on what these alternatives are looking like and getting feedback as we continue to advance the project through preliminary design.
and you don't happen to have a preview, just.
I do not have a
You and
preview today, no, but we're gonna have some nice renderings to show.
You, it's as if you, know the way to my heart. Thank you, sir.
So along the same lines, we have another estuary project that we have grant dollars from King County to advance design on. This was a Massey Creek, so just south of Des Moines Creek on the other side of the marina and just south of Anthony's. As there's hard armoring, the creek really narrows and straightens. There's two box culverts that are highlighted as fish passage blockage. And this project is designed to look at all those and even flooding issues upstream and how can we improve this estuary. Now the issues with this project is it's all tied in with private property, and the creek mouth isn't owned by the city. We have a small ownership at the very tail end as it hits the sound, but essentially this project has run into two key issues, one with PSE, and they have a transmission line that heads out to Maury Island. And then the other issue is private property, just engagement. We're not able to engage with this property owner. So we are proposing to shelf this project after the initial grant dollars are spent and turn staff focus on the Des Moines Creek Estuary project and get this to a holding pattern until there's an opportunity if they sell the property or become more willing to engage with the city on what can be done to improve the stream. do a time check here. Okay, we're still tracking. 234th Place Pipe Project. This is a smaller project slated for 2028. And this is just kind of just south of sort of the downtown core. Kind of sound like a broken record here, but we're improving
No,
roadway drainage and all that.
It's kind of what we do.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not expecting you to talk about,
Yep.
like, fried chicken or anything. Yeah, no, that's great.
Yep,
Thanks.
yep. Okay, so 6th Place, 278th Street Pipe Replacement Project. This is the one down in Redondo that we actually, of this list, if you compared our 6-year CIP that we're presenting tonight to last year's, this is a change you would see as we've slid it up in priority to go in design of next year and construction in 2026. And this is just based on citizen complaints, field inspections, on seeing the flooding issues rise over time and trying to get a remedy sooner than later for the residents down in Redondo. So that's, yeah, we're gonna go to, or on call and get a consultant to start designing that very soon. 232nd, between 10th and 14th. I'm blanking on the subdivision name.
I can't visualize it too well.
So this is, if you're going on KDM and you turn south on 10th, 232nd is right there. This is adding stormwater on the north side of the road where there currently isn't. Pinnacles is the subdivision name I was looking for. It's right north of them. And this is gonna help capture a lot of the runoff that's generated by development over the years that's impacting some of the homeowners on the north side of the street. And what is that? That's 2028, 2029 for design and construction. I'm getting through here. So 258, 13th Place to 16th Avenue Pipe Project. Really almost near the mid-block line of the city here. Just off of 216th, there's a local neighborhood. Current historical drainage from King County had large volumes of water heading through 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 homeowners' backyards. It's a maintenance challenge to get access to. It's too high of flows to be in an active ditch line in their backyards. This project is to come in and pipe that section or find an alternative route for this water. And that is for 2028, 2029 as well. KDM 16th Avenue Phase B pipe project slated for 2028, 2029. This project is right close to the project we're wrapping up now on KDM and 16th, but tackles the drainage on the western side and northern side of the intersection rather than the east and south side of the intersection. Our pipe repair and replacement program, so in transportation, they have budgets like sidewalk repair, they have budgets like guardrail replacement. These are standing budgets that are year to year and go through time. As projects arise, they can tap into those dollars and fix them. So this is very similar on our end where we have a unanticipated pipe issue, maintenance repair that triggers a capital project. We already have a CIP in place to help fund that, and that has a roughly $130K each year to be tapped into as projects arise.
Just out of curiosity, how much pipe does $130,000 buy one?
Yeah, that'll do like one small project, so I'm thinking like a block, and then one medium project, which is maybe up to 2 blocks.
Oh, thank you. That's ever so much better than sidewalks.
Yeah.
I'm glad I asked.
Well, and again, case to case, there's,
No.
Yep. Closing out this year is the First Ave pump replacement project. We got a new pump on our newly acquired pond off of First near Normandy Park up there that serves North Hill community. Those pumps were installed in the 70s, and we were able to put in new pumps there, and they're operating, and this will be closed out. So happy to report a successful project there. The Marine View Drive pond retrofit. So this pond is more commonly known as Taco Time Pond, but it's right at the intersection there of KDM and Marine View Drive. This is to enhance the water quality of that pond and help meet NPDES, National Pollution Discharge Elimination System, our water quality permit. We get credit the more retrofits we do in the city with our new permit. This project is slated for grant monies We haven't applied yet, but we plan to apply for grant monies to get points to retrofit that pond, as it's a historical pond, built a long time ago under older standards. I think this is the last one. So the 13th Avenue South Bioswale retrofit. So this is, I guess, just east of sort of the downtown core. This is in a 13th Avenue residential neighborhood, just behind Des Moines downtown core, and this is to replace an aging swale, similar to the pond. It was built under older standards, and this would be to bring it up to current standards, increasing water quality, runoff from the neighborhood, and getting points towards our water quality permit with Ecology. And this would be targeted for grant funding as well. That concludes our project presentation of the 6-year CIP plan, unless there's any more questions.
Councilmember Oxley, do you have questions? I have just a couple, anything that's on this is budgeted. There's money for it at some point, correct?
That's correct,
Okay.
except for the grants,
Okay.
which are not, some of them we don't have in hand.
Okay.
Yep.
But this is in, if I talk to Jeff, this is in the funding.
Correct.
Okay.
This is, in
I just
every
wanna-
project is entirely
Yeah.
surface water utility.
Okay,
Yep.
yeah, this is not aspirational. I mean, and just,
Yeah.
even though we're going through a speed thing for the 8 people watching, I've walked all of this stuff, and so I can visualize. You only stumped me on one, but, you know, you can see where the flooding is, and, you know, thank you so much for, the only item I did not see here is that, what are the odds of bringing forward a progress report on that 223rd Green Streets thing? Did we get a
That's,
significant
I
amount of
want to say that's slated for an update at the Transportation Committee, maybe next
Yes.
committee?
I don't know if it's the next one or one after that, but we finished the initial planning design phase, just the overall plan, and we're looking at additional grant fundings for the next phases. And actually, right now, we're looking at trying to see if we can apply for a grant this cycle for furthering design for water quality within that street, as part of the overall streetscape. It's a complete, we're looking at 223rd as a complete street.
Okay, well, it's, you know, not this discussion, but I think amongst us, I think it would have been nice to have this in the Environment Committee, but, you know, who knows how these things get decided. There appears to be more.
This is the one I stumped you on.
Oh, thank you, because, yeah, as you know, I love pictures, and this is great. Is there anything else from the city today?
Nope, that concludes our remarks.
So, time is short and everything, but I usually try to provide some opportunity if there's anyone from the public that wishes to make a comment.